Okay, guys, welcome once again. So we are looking at the step 4 of creating your Selenium Specflow test framework from scratch. So step 4 is creating a folder structure. So we are going to go with that. So this is step by step to creating the first Specflow Selenium test framework using Specflow. So my name is Deji. So we've covered step 1, which is downloading and installing Visual Studio, integrations of Specflow extension. We've also created our test project. Step 4 is what we are doing right now, which is basically creating your folder structure. That is step 4. So there's a folder structure that I'm going to propose. Some of them already been done for us by Specflow template that we used in the second step. So, or in the third step rather, when we're creating our first Selenium framework. So the folder structure that we have currently right now out of the box are drivers. The driver folder should store your browser, all the browser that you want to use, or the drivers that you want to use. Like if you want to use driver for Chrome, or you want to use for Firefox, but but you might not need to use this folder for now. Or if you need to actually create your exe for any driver, you can put it in that particular folder. You also have feature folder created for you. This is where all your Specflow feature files needs to be stored. Then you have your hooks. So basically, this is all your code that needs to be run before any scenario or after any scenario or before any feature or after any feature needs to be stored. So you have the before scenario, after scenario, and everything. I'll be talking about the hooks in other videos. So, okay, and you also have the steps. This is where your step definitions should be stored. You need to be putting your step definitions. So this is very, very important when you are generating your step in your feature file. Make sure it is stored in the step folder. This is very, very important. I'll also be talking about generating the step definition in the video later. So then that leaves off with another 3 folders that we need to create. So the first folder I'm going to recommend is the page object. In this particular video, we are going to be using page object module, which is very, very good. It allows you to make your code tidy, also reusable. So all your page object, basically, which is like your C# class for each of your page, this is where they need to store. You need to store them here. This is very, very important. And there might be other common page object that you also need to store in this location. And it is also recommended that you create another folder called test data. In this particular folder, you could also create two subfolders, one for your test input, one for your test output. So, and in your test input, you will store all your test input data, and for your test output, you put all your screenshots or other files that will be your output. So these are all the files that should go into the test data folder. Then the last folder that you should create is the utilities. The utilities folders are the folder that should store your common components, everything, all the methods that you think are going to be shared among your test framework, you should be storing them in this particular folder. So if you ask me as a newbie, what do you, all the folder that you'll be using more often? I would say, of course, you need your feature folder, you will need your hooks folder, you will need your step definition folder, and as you also need your page object folder. So if you need to consider these 4 folders, so those are the ones that you should not do without actually. but that's on the assumption if you want to go for page object module. If you're not going for page object module, I think these three folders should be fine for you. So that means you don't need to create any other folder. But if you want to go through this particular recommended folder structure that I'm proposing, then you are free to do that. So for you to now create a folder, so this is what you need to do. So bear in mind, so you come here on your solutions. Bear in mind, you should not create your folder under your solution context. Your folder should be under your project. So as you can see, if I collapse this one now, this is where my project is. So when I extend it, that's where I want to create my folder, basically. So I need to, like I said, from my folder structure that I've proposed, I'll be creating page object, test data, and also utilities. For me to do that, I just need to right click here. So if you right click on your project and you click on add, then you will see new folder. You can click on that one and you can see page objects and you press enter. That is your page object created. You could also do the same thing for the other folders that I've proposed, which is test data. You press enter. And the last folder that you need to do is the utilities. So for newbies, like I said, the folder that if you don't want to use the other structure folders, you should go with the vanilla one that Specflow already created for you. So even you might not even need to use driver folder, you could also you only use feature folders, book folders, and your steps. That should be sufficient for you. So those are the folder that we are going to use for this particular demo anyway. But as time goes on, you want to be storing your test data in a different folder. You want to create your common components in a different folder. So that is really, really important for you to do that in a structured way. So this is the proposed folder structure if you really want to go ahead. So yeah, that takes me to the end of the folder structure for this particular step-by-step to creating your first test framework. So for the next video, I'm going to be talking about the step 5, which is this auto activations of your Specflow plus runner, because that is the test that we are going to be using. So that's what's going to happen. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next video.